All right, so I'm here to give you all a sneak peek of our operative curriculum for Agent Academy. So let's first do a quick reminder. As Vessa mentioned, I've been on this call before talking about our Agent Academy curriculum that we have. So what is it? Well, it's kind of free, self-guided, self-paced curriculum that you can go through to get hands-on on building agents in Copilot Studio. And we're going to have 3 different ranks. So out right now and available is our recruit rank. That is really all about your foundational skills, and you walk through building an IT help desk agent. But what's coming up in the next few weeks, which I'm giving you a sneak peek of, is our operative, kind of more intermediate lesson. And that's all about building more complex agents, and you'll build a hiring agent in that. So this is all curriculum that our advocacy team has put together here to help you and your users and your customers build real world scenarios with agents in Copilot Studio. So what is in the operative path here? Well, you're going to be building a hiring agent. So this scenario helps you to automate your hiring process, and it really introduces the concept of multi-agents and working with a system of agents working together to handle tasks like doing things like reviewing your resumes, recommending job roles, preparing interview materials, and evaluating candidates. And we purposely made this a different scenario than our recruit path so that you can see how we can use agents for different departments and various scenarios that you might be working with. So within this, how exactly does it work? So for the solution that we'll be building, we're going to have a central hiring agent that will coordinate the process and store all data in Microsoft Dataverse. Then we'll have an application intake agent that reads resumes and creates job applications. And finally, we'll add in an interview prep agent that generates interview questions and documents based off of the candidate's background. So this is really showcasing that multi-agent scenario. Now, when we talk about multi-agents and agents working together in Copilot Studio, one of the core concepts that you will learn in this curriculum is the concept of child agents versus connected agents. So these are the 2 main ways where we can have agents working together. So what are the key differences? Well, child agents, those are more lightweight specialists that live within your main agent. So I would say think of them more like specialized teams within your same department. But we have connected agents. Those are more full-fledged independent agents that can live outside of your main agent and can operate independently of that. So these are more like separate departments that work together on a project. So when would you use each of these? Well, a child agent is really good when a single team might manage the entire solution, whereas a connected agent is good where you have multiple teams developing and maintaining different agents independently. For child agents, you might use those when you want to logically organize tools in knowledge into sub-agents. So it's really good for breaking apart those complex agent scenarios into smaller, more manageable tasks. With connected agents, though, you might want to go that route when your agents need their own settings and authentication and deployment channels. And maybe you want to publish and maintain those separately and independently and have your own ALM and all of that. And maybe have that be reusable across multiple solutions. So that's really the key difference here between the 2. And we'll take a look at in a real world scenario how we would use each of these. So let's just go into an example of the first 3 modules that you'll be going through in this curriculum on building this connected agent scenario. So as I mentioned, we'll be starting with this hiring agent. So I created a simple agent in Copilot Studio, and right now there's nothing to it. We just have some instructions basically. So this is our main kind of orchestrator agent for all of our hiring activities. I put in some simple instructions to let it know that this is the central orchestrator for our hiring process. And its job is to coordinate activities, provide summaries, and delegate work to specialized agents. So now that we have this kind of host agent, we need to start thinking about how do we do that connecting piece. Now, before we do that though, we're going to want to go into this host agent and look at a few different settings. So in all the agents that we build, first, we need to enable the connected agent setting if we want to use connected agents, but we can also control things like the moderation and then more importantly, knowledge. So we have the use general knowledge and use information from the web. So those two settings are really important here because if you don't want your agent to be able to just make up information or go get information out from the general knowledge of the model or for the web, in our case, we only wanted to call these other child agents or these connected agents. We want to disable some of those settings. So we got our host agent, we've got the settings in check. Now we need to actually go through and start configuring some of these connected agents. So we're going to go to the agent section and add an agent. So below we have this connect an existing, that's the connected agent. But if we select create an agent, this is that child agent capability that we'll look at first. So this is where an agent would live in the concept in the host agent itself. So now in our agent section, we're just going to fill out some information here. This will be our application intake agent. And a few things that we can do here, if we expand at the advanced settings here, is a priority. So when you start working with these connected agents or these child agents, we can actually set priorities here. And that allows us to choose which agent should basically be first in the queue and should be called first and have that priority. So that's that setting we set there. Other things we can configure as well is, do we want to allow that web search, which we have disabled here. So we've got a basic child agent for our application intake. Now we need to actually make it work and do something for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go over to our tools. And one of the main things that we want this to do is to be able to add in a flow. So we have these agent flows that we can use inside of our agents, whether they're child agents or connected agents. So we can add this resume upload flow. So all this is doing behind the scenes is some simple Power Automate stuff to go and get information from the agent and extract information and add that into Dataverse so that we can process these resumes. Now, the important thing that I'm doing right here is I'm putting a description in to let it know when it should call this flow. I can also configure some settings here as far as when should this tool be used. And notice I'm putting only when referenced by topics or agents. If I were to leave this at agent may use this tool at any time, that could potentially bypass the process that I wanted to actually have in place. So this is where I'm telling it only when I reference that in my topics or another agent references this to call it. So, and one of the things that you'll notice in the description that I have is I'm using something called a strict rule. So if I want to have some really kind of straightforward logic here, like, hey, upload a resume when instructed, but only call this tool when referenced in from the resume upload, and there are attachments. So this is really important to making sure that this is going to function as I want it to function when we start using this. So we have all of that, right? We have our child flow, and then we've called this this agent flow here. I'm sorry, our child agent, and we called a agent flow. But we need to be able to pass inputs from the agent to the flow. So that's what we're doing below. If you see this input section, I can add some additional inputs, and I want to actually pass in content bytes in the name. So what is this? Well, I'm actually going to take attachments from my chat. So I'm going to choose a custom value there, and I'm going to put in a formula that lets me get the attachments that a user might upload inside of the chat. Same thing for the name. I'm going to set that to a custom value, and I'm going to put a formula, and I'm going to get the name of the attachment that the user passes in. For the message, I want to keep this dynamic so that the model will actually fill that in, but I'm going to put a more thorough description in there as well. And I'm also going to tell it not to re-prompt for that information. So that's just another setting that I can configure here. And then finally, for the user email, I'm going to make that hard-coded as well. And I'm going to use a system value here to get the system user email of the person that is interacting with the agent. So now I've just configured all the inputs. So it's going to have this interaction with the agent, and I'm going to pass all of this data back to the flow. Now that that's set up, I can really just fill in some instructions. So now that we have that connection there, I can go back to agents. I can open up my child flow. And now I need to tell this child, sorry, I keep saying flow, child agent. We're Power Automate too much. I need to give it some instructions here. So what I'm going to say is, First thing I want you to do is upload the resume, but I only want you to trigger if there are attachments. So I'm going to reference that system.activity.attachments again and say only if it contains one new resume. This will be important when we start testing. And then I'm going to tell it to call the resume upload, right? So that is that flow that we just added. So we have instructions for this child agent, and now it's referenced in our main host agent. How do we test it out? Well, first, I'm going to upload 2 different resumes. Now, notice that's why we put those instructions in where I say only run this if there is one attachment. So what happens if I put in 2 attachments? Well, hopefully, if our instructions work correctly and come across correctly, it's actually going to return with a message that it can't process it. So we can look at this activity map that shows here on the left-hand side, and there you go. You may you have uploaded more than one resume. Please only upload one. Cool. We wanted it to do that. So now let's go and just do a single resume. And this path should work. And we're going to say, hey, process this. And now it's going to go through that whole process again. We can monitor what's happening on the activity map, and we can see that it's calling that child agent here. So there is the flow that we created, the resume upload flow, and it's getting that file, that PDF that we attached in our conversation, extracting that information, and it's adding that to Dataverse for us, all thanks to that flow that we have configured in there. So here is our backend Power App in this case, which shows us the list of resumes and Dataverse that we had set up. And there's that resume that I had from my chat with the agent, and now it's uploaded here in Dataverse. So everything that we wanted to do. Now, this is a great use case of having one of those child agents in your main agent because this is something unique to the process of what we're doing in this agent. It's managed by the same team. And we don't really need to have any separate security authentication or publish it anywhere else. It's just for this scenario. But what if we need to do more, right? So we have a child agent, but what if we want to really help with those interview prep and questions? Now we can go back to our agents tab here and we can look at a connected agent scenario in this case. So we're going to add a new agent here, and instead of doing the create agent and the child agent, we'll say add an existing agent from Copilot Studio. And I have an agent I've already built called the interview agent. So this one is pretty simple. It's connected to some Dataverse data, and it has some custom instructions in here. So what I'm going to do for this is now I can use both of these agent scenarios. I can say, upload this resume, but then also show me open job roles, each with a description of the evaluation criteria, and then use this to match this resume with a suitable job. So what this scenario should do is call both of my agents, my child and my connected agent, which you see it's doing right now. So I told it to first process the resume. So it's calling our child agent right here, and it's calling the flow within that agent to upload that resume. Now that it did that, it should be going on and calling that connected agent that we created. So we can see the reference here that we have a resume number. So it did process that resume, and now it's calling that connected agent to be able to go and match what are the details of this resume. Do we have any open positions that would match this resume that we have? So it's calling that agent there, doing a little bit of processing to find at least one suitable role per the instructions that I had in that connected agent. And it will do that based off of the knowledge that I added, which is knowledge from Dataverse tables in this case. So it's going through there and doing that. And again, so this is a good use case for a connected agent because it could be independent. I might want to do this lookup and do interview prep outside of this whole hiring process. It could be its own standalone scenario. And now we have our details. I went and looked at that Dataverse table, and it pulled some information about why this person might be a good fit for this Power Automate specialist role in this case, right? And we can tell what it did because it called those knowledge sources below. Those are all from our connected agent in the Dataverse table for the job role that we have. So we can see all of the activity map not only shows us the activity in our host agent, but it goes into those connected and child agents as well. So this is the type of stuff that you'll be able to go through. Again, this is coming in the next couple of weeks. We hope to have this launched by Ignite. There was some logo changes and everything that we need to be able to update some of our instructions for. So that's just the cause of the delay. But we'll have step-by-step instructions on how you can do this plus a lot more. So hopefully this gave you a good overview of what child and connected agents are. Be on the lookout. If you haven't already, you can go through the recruit path now. And in the next couple of weeks, we will have this lesson here and additional lessons for Operative if you go to that aka.ms/agent academy. So thank you all. Check it out, give us feedback, and let us know what you think.